Bonjour tout le monde. So for this first lesson of the second dossier already, we're going to start with futur simple. As you've seen in dossier 5, we've done futur proche. And remember, futur proche is when you're saying, I am going to the mall, right? Going is the verb aller, followed by the infinitive. Futur simple is simply just saying, I will go to the mall, all right? Definitely they don't have that big of a difference in the message that you want to convey. But of course, given with a writing piece, for instance, if you're using both, that shows me that you know both of the material. So without further ado, pourquoi utilise-t-on le futur simple pour parler des actions futures? N'est-ce pas? So again, you're speaking about future actions. How do we formulate it? First of all, let's look at the ending. You'll see that there's a lot of irregular verbs in futur simple, but the ending will always remain the same regardless of the base. So for instance, je stays the same, ai followed by as. The two pronouns that I want to bring your attention to is ons and ont for il and elle. They are pronounced the same, and on, but again, one ends with an s and one ends with a t. So I have three verbs here, all very different in terms of the group that they're in. So the first one is manger, which is ER, premier groupe, finir, IR, deuxième groupe, prendre, RE, troisième groupe. So let's take a look at the way that they end. If you have a verb that ends, and I'm saying generally, exceptions is another story. So generally, if you have a verb that ends in ER, you're simply writing the verb as it is in the infinitive and you're adding the ending. If you have a verb that ends in IR, okay, it's the second group, you're basically writing it as it is and then you follow it by the ending. And I apologize if you hear background noise. If you have a group that ends in RE, note here that I don't see an E here. So what you do is you take away the E and you add your ending. Okay. Note that for all of this, regardless of the group that they're in, the endings remain the same. Okay. All right. So like I was saying, just to go over that, and this is from your book, but if you have your RE verbs, or sorry, your ER verbs, again, you leave it as it is. Again, don't worry about the pronominal for now. It's basically the same. So as you can see, you just have your pronom réfléchi followed by the verb, and you're just adding the ending to it. Same thing with IR verbs, right? You're leaving it as it is, followed by your ending. Like I mentioned, this isn't a perfect world, that these are just the regular verbs. Irregular verbs, you have courir, for instance, or mourir. So if I were to conjugate that with je, it's very irregular because it doesn't even have one R. You have to add two R, right? And you're not writing it as it is, like these two regular verbs. You're basically changing the ending completely there, okay? You're taking away the I and you're adding another R. Same thing with apprendre, vivre, prendre, right? So any verbs that end in RE, you're taking away the E at the end and then you're adding the ending. These are the irregular verbs, okay? So these one, even though, let's just say it ends with, let's go with être, even though it ends in RE, like these verbs, you're not just taking away the E, you're basically changing the whole thing. Look at this. The base here becomes SER, and then you're adding the ending. So again, with the ending, you'll see that regardless of whether the verbs are regular or irregular, there's one thing that's going for them is their ending remains the same. Okay, and these are just basically what I've just told you in English there. Okay. See. Perfect. All right, so these are the irregular verbs that was given to you by your book. I've added aller just because it's something that you'll need to know, as well as envoyer. And the reason why I've added envoyer is because the base changes completely, even though these two are ER verbs. I'm not going to go over all of it. Okay, I'll leave that to you to remember those. Just make sure that when these particular verbs are given to you, the base you'll see changes completely. All right, but the ending stays the same. All right, so you might see something like this on the midterm or the final exam. So let's try and do this together here. And this is why I make these videos, because I give you some sort of idea of what you're supposed to see on an exam. Mettez ces verbes au futur simple. Demain, elle, visiter la maison. Okay, right away you'll know that it's futur simple because we're using demain. Okay, elle, it's an ER verb, right? So pretty simple. Trying to do it so that it doesn't change. All right, visiter, right? You leave it as it is, and you'll see from your table there that the ending for el pluriel is ont. Tu offrir du thé et des biscuits, right? This is an IR verb. So again, you leave it as it is, and you add the ending. Tu discuter, another one. Okay, followed by your AS poliment, et tu se taire. So again, this is pronominal, right? Because you have your pronom réfléchi. So I'll show you. It's not that hard. All you do is, what is the pronom réfléchi in tu? It remains the same. Sorry, it's de. Taire. Remember, this is a RE verb. So what you do is you take away the E and you add your AS. Okay. Quand les autres parleront, puis tu reconduire. Okay, so same thing here. Okay, you basically write the verb as it is. Because it's an RE verb, you take away the E, add an AS. Les personnes qui, the personne is elle pluriel, participeront. Après tu aller, you'll see from the last slide that aller is an irregular verb. It ira. And s'endormir, that's another pronominal verb. So again, what does this change into tu? It would be T, right? Tu. But because you have a voyelle here, again, this is an RO verb, so you leave it as it is and you add the ending. All right, so hopefully that was helpful. And again, if you have any question, feel free to book Zoom meeting with me and I'll gladly help you with that. All right? Merci et à la semaine prochaine.